A good Monday to you all as we begin a new week here on Notre Dame Daily. I'm Pete Mulroy, and hope you enjoyed the Masters over the weekend as well. For those of you that are passionate about the game of golf as I am. And from a Notre Dame perspective here, with spring rolling along, as we're now 12 days away from the annual Blue Gold game, we'll continue to highlight some of the individual talents expected to play prominent roles for the Domers this upcoming season. Among those is new kicker Spencer Porath, the January portal addition by way of Purdue. The All Big Ten honorable mention was brought to South Bend in order to provide Marty Biagi's kicking game with a much-needed veteran presence and stability. Oh, by the way, productivity. The Irish were hoping for a big season a year ago from UNC transfer Noah Burnett, but he dealt with injury and inconsistency throughout the campaign. Both Eric Schmidt, who returns, and Marcello Diametti, who was gone via the portal, also struggled at various times during the season. And in speaking about his new kicker, Biagi discussed the approach Schmidt brings to the field each time out, as well as how he's meshed perfectly with the guys in the room, saying, quote, he's done a really good job in terms of ball flight and consistency, saying that during his recent press conference at the end of last week. He's really come in and gelled with the guys. What we want to see is some game experience and confidence. He's got that. That's really encouraging. He's very locked in, practicing like a pro. And last season, the combo of Burnett, Diametti, and Schmidt were 5 for 9 on field goal attempts, 63 of 67 on extra points. Schmidt, who Biagi said during that press conference could handle kickoff duties if needed, was 0 for 3 on his own field goal attempt. So those inconsistencies in the kicking game were maddening at times for the Irish, which included, by the way, a botched snap on a PAT attempt, which would have tied the eventual Week 2 loss to Texas A&M late in the game. But with the veteran Porath now in town as the primary place kicker, the Irish hope they've put those woes in the rear view. A season ago, Porath converted nearly 89% of his field goals by nailing 15 of the 17 he attempted. His misses came from 47 in a loss to Minnesota and from 54 in a defeat at the hands of eventual national champion Indiana. And in addition to his high field goal conversion rate, Porath nailed each of his 24 PATs, serving as one of the most consistent kickers in the Big Ten and in the country, albeit on a struggling Boilermakers squad. Kid comes to South Bend now with a career long of 53. He's got a strong, reliable leg, and one through this spring that is only gaining strength, again, as these practices and reps roll along as we get closer to the Blue Gold game and beyond. Overall, this was a great report on the state of the kicking game for the Irish as it continues to look like they've got their kicker for the next couple of seasons, heading into a campaign with sky-high expectations. We all know that. And the likelihood that you're going to come into some tight tilts, having confidence in your kicking game means a ton. The Irish didn't have that last season, and it looks as though they do now. I mean, look, Mitch Jeter was banged up, and he had some struggles in getting healthy. So, there was a level of frustration with that before you realized a couple of seasons that Jeter was battling through injury. And then, of course, we know how essential he was to Notre Dame's run to the national title game with the eventual loss to Ohio State, sending them there with his right leg with that 3-point victory late against Penn State in the national semifinal. So special teams are crucial. It didn't really burn Notre Dame outside of that botched snap a year ago against Texas A&M, but you can't have the inconsistencies and basically the failures that Notre Dame had from a special teams and a kicking department in particular and expect to be consistently keeping up with the top teams in the country. You're going to have tight games, and you're going to need to rely on the foot of your kicker. The sure-footed Porath now coming in here with that veteran presence, being here the next couple of seasons, I think gives Notre Dame that. The proof will be in the pudding, yes, when we get it out starting in September, but it's got to be an incredible sigh of relief to know that you had someone who was nearly an all-conference kicker on a lousy Purdue team the last couple of seasons, now coming to take over and sort of straighten out the car on the road, if you will, in Spencer Porath. That's a big deal, and it's one the Irish certainly needed. To recruiting now, and this past weekend was certainly a monster one for the Irish. A slew of recruits were on campus taking various visits, including 2 legacy players, the blue and gold remain very much in on Julius Jones Jr., a four-star wideout, St. Thomas Aquinas in the 27 class, and someone we've talked a lot about on the program in the past, was back in South Bend over the weekend, as he remains one of the most coveted players for his dad's alma mater. Jones Jr. received an offer from the Irish in March of last year, and he's remained top of mind ever since. At 6 foot, $170, the talented wideout is one of the top offensive players in the class, and given his mutual admiration for the University of Notre Dame and its football program, the marriage seems inevitable. And while the Domers continue to focus on Julius Jones Jr., his brother, 2028 defensive back Andre Jones, can now say he too holds an offer from the program where his father ran for over 3,000 yards and 27 scores in the early part of the 2000s. Andre shared the news of that offer via social media this weekend. A top 350 prospect in the class overall and rising, by the way. Andre presently holds offers from Pitt, Florida State, Cal, BC, Georgia Tech, Texas A&M, and a handful of others, but the most meaningful one came just a few days ago. From an offensive standpoint, Notre Dame currently has tackle James Halter, running backs Isaiah Rogers, and Lathan Wissington committed in the 2027 class. The addition of Jones Jr. would not only increase the overall potency of the group, and it's already off to a very good start as we know, his addition would give the Irish their first outside weapon to commit in the class, of course, unless somebody beats him to it, which would actually be a great thing, assuming they were able to get both. For the 2028 campaign, there are no commits yet, though to no surprise, a slew of offers have been handed out across the board. Julius Jones Jr. has widely been considered a lock to commit to the Dome. There's really no reason to think otherwise as we get further into the spring. With his brother now officially in the mix as well in the next cycle, it truly could become a family affair for the Joneses beginning as soon as next season. That, of course, would be something truly special. And I think it looks good there, of course, for Julius Jones Jr. You know what Notre Dame did this past recruiting cycle in 26, bringing in guys like Kaden Finley, Braden Robinson, Bubba Frazier, Dylan Faison, and trying to follow that up with something similar in 2027. You can never have too much weaponry. And outside of being a legacy kid, Julius Jones Jr. just fits the mold of what you want. Hands, great vertical ability, speed down the field, can work himself open. This is the type of kid any program would want, hence the stacked offer sheet. But it looks really good, as it has looked really good for Notre Dame as we continue to move forward. And in addition to Jones Jr. being back on campus this past weekend and his brother receiving the Irish offer, there was an even larger crop of highly regarded recruits around them in town over the past 48 hours. Among them were four-star offensive tackle Leighton Von Brandt and edge rusher Mekhi Brown, two of the top outright players regardless of position in the 2027 class. Von Brandt's a major priority from Notre Dame offensive line coach Joe Rudolph, and he has been for quite some time. So having him back on campus this weekend, same can be said for Jones Jr., was nothing short of huge. At 6'7", 280, Von Brandt's one of the most athletic offensive linemen you'll find, and he's only getting better. While many view the Irish as a leader for his services, stiff competition exists from, again, the likes of Boston College, Florida, Indiana, Mizzou, UGA, LSU, Tennessee, Ohio State, and many others. But as they have for some time, Rudolph and the Irish do like where they stand here. Now, Brown was originally scheduled to be in South Bend for the Blue Gold game April 25th, but he elected to move his travel up to this past weekend. Someone we talked about last week. Brown is simply a game wrecker, folks. 6'7", 230-pounder from Greenwich Country Day in Connecticut remains a major target for the Blue and Gold, and for good reason. One of the most fluent, aggressive, and agile pass rushers in the class. He fits on any defensive line, including Charlie Partridge's front. Brown is the type of player Partridge loves: steady motor, chaos causing, and top flight athleticism. Given the fact that Notre Dame's revamped defensive line promises to be exactly that and more this season and beyond, they absolutely should be all in for Brown. So it was fantastic having him on campus for the Loop in recent days. 2027 wideout Alsani Gales, a four-star from IMG Academy, along with fellow four-star Alafaleti Tui Alamaka, the younger brother of former Irish defensive lineman Junior Tui Alamaka, were also present for visits. Quarterback Kingston Prier, tight end Theo Schott, and wide receiver Trey Finney were among those in attendance from the 2028 class. Finney earned an offer from the Irish, while Prier a top 30 prospect in the 28 group as per 24/7, and the number 3 signal caller remains one of the strong focuses for Marcus Freeman's bunch in that cycle as they look to lock up a couple of quarterbacks the next few recruiting cycles. Overall, with more than 15 players in attendance over this past weekend, the pulse of recruiting in South Bend will continue to beat on, and that's a great thing. Given the momentum that continues to be built on the heels of that 26 class, it is certainly an exciting time to track this Irish coaching staff as they continue to construct the future of the program with top flight traditional high school recruiting. We say it time and time again, and we'll continue to say it. Look, the portal is fine, and you're going to need the portal in this day and age. But if you can major in high school recruiting and sort of minor in the portal, that's what you want to do, and that's what Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame have almost become pros at doing as they continue to get out on the road, build these connections and these link ups with guys in the 27 and 28 classes, even sprinkling in that 2029 class a little bit. So it's going to be fun to continue to watch, and those names and those commitments are going to keep coming in, and the offers will keep going out as well. So it's a great time to continue to track the building blocks for the Notre Dame football program. And we'll wrap with some fan interaction now. Willie Ballard Jr. says that he doesn't want to rush the summer, but that he can't wait until fall, saying, let's go Irish, leave no doubt. And I'm with you, my friend. Obviously, spring practices and the workouts that follow of utmost importance from the standpoints of cohesion, right, growth and development, and for talent identification from those younger guys, because you're seeing them really for the full time in pads, in uniform, with your veteran groups, be it the portal guys or the incoming freshmen. So it's very important. But given the expectations attached to the Irish ahead of next season, it's understandable to be itching to get to the fall. I think we all feel it, and I know what all lies ahead. And I guess the good news is it'll be here before we know it. So a great point there. Yes, I'm chomping at the bit as well, as I'm sure these young men and their coaching staff are as well. And to close here, Sly Fox writes, nice job, Pete. Simple, but very much appreciated today, buddy. And for all of you, I can continue to love and appreciate the support, the subscribership, the viewership across the board. Over 800,000 unique downloads and views now on YouTube as we've continued to expand the platform via Facebook, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as well. So it continues to go great, and it's all because of you. With that, enjoy your Monday. I'll see everyone tomorrow. And as always, go Irish.